Have you ever met someone and felt like you already knew them? The way a song you've never heard still feels familiar? Maybe they showed up right when you were lost, or right when you were proud, or right when you were about to give up. It can feel like coincidence. Or maybe, just maybe, it's something else. A quiet nudge, a little timing, a hand placed on your shoulder at the exact second you needed to turn. Tonight, let me tell you a soft story about why people don't always enter our lives by chance. Some stay, some go, some teach, some test, and that's okay. If this kind of gentle conversation helps you breathe a little easier, maybe subscribe so you don't miss the next late night talk. No rush. Sit with me. We'll walk this slowly. I want to start where most of us live, in the in-between. You're not the person you were 5 years ago, and you're not yet the person you'll become. In that space, people drifting like birds riding a wind you can't see. It may look random. It may feel like luck. But if you look closer, there's a rhythm. Some people arrive to be your mirror, some to be your map, some to be your sandpaper. And yes, a few show up to be the storm that teaches you how to build a stronger roof. It's okay to admit that. We don't have to make enemies out of our teachers. An old monk once said life is a garden, and people are seeds. Some bloom like quick flowers. You love them for a season and then they fade. Some grow into tall, steady trees that hold the shade over you when the sun is too much. A few are like sharp stones underfoot, painful to step on, yet they toughen your feet for miles you never thought you could walk. You don't have to chase every flower. You don't have to keep every stone. But you can learn from all of them. Maybe that's the point. I think of the fixed stars, too, the steady ones. A sister who always answers. A friend who texts you at 2 a.m. when you post something a little too sad. The neighbor who shoveled your driveway that year you were out of work. These people don't ask for a stage. They don't make speeches. They just show up with soup and jumper cables. Maybe they were sent. Maybe you were too, on the day you sat with someone who needed a little light and didn't know how to ask. But let me say this softly. Not everyone who arrives is meant to stay. And that's okay. We can stop forcing forever on every hello. Some people are bridges, not homes. They carry you across a hard season, and when you're on the other side, the bridge doesn't move with you. You don't have to call that failure. You can call it grace. You can say, thank you, and keep walking. There's a question I like to keep in my pocket when I meet someone new. What lesson might this person be carrying? Not in a big, heavy way, just a light curiosity. If they feel safe, maybe the lesson is to receive without guilt. If they challenge me, maybe the lesson is to speak a little clearer, to steady my voice, to learn that boundaries aren't walls. They're doors that open and close from a place of love. And when someone makes me small, maybe the lesson is to leave, quietly and with my head high. It's okay to leave. It's okay to choose peace. People who hurt us are our teachers. That's not a comfortable line, I know. But sometimes it's true. The one who lied shows you how honest you want to be. The one who left shows you how to stay with yourself. The one who tried to control you teaches you the weight of your own yes and your own no. Pain doesn't make them right. It doesn't make you wrong. It just asks you to grow roots in better soil. It asks you to trust your feet again. And what about the helpers? The anchors? The ones who walk in when the room is falling apart? I've noticed they don't arrive with drum rolls. They show up like a warm coat. Quiet. Fitting. You don't owe them perfection. Just presence. Sometimes the best thank you is to become that kind of person for someone else. Maybe you can be someone's shade for a summer. Maybe you can be the one steady star someone looks for when they're scared. Let me tell you a small story. A few years back, I met a man at a coffee shop. He was older, kind eyes, the kind of person who nods before he speaks. We started talking because we both reached for the same muffin. He told me he'd just retired and didn't know who he was without his job. I told him I was writing, but didn't know if my words mattered. We laughed. We split the muffin. For 3 months, on Thursdays, we sat at the same small table. He told me how to keep a calendar, how to make a plan, and stick to it even when nobody clapped. I told him that it's okay to feel lost after a long chapter ends. One day he didn't come. Life moved him. I never saw him again. But my calendar still has Thursdays circled, a little star in the corner. Sometimes the lesson is that brief can still be holy. Of course, there are times when we want to rescue everyone. It's natural. You're kind. You see a hole and want to fill it. But maybe wait for the ask. Maybe whisper. Do you want advice, or do you just want to sit here? If they want help, help. If they don't, love them anyway, from a little distance, in a way that keeps both of you strong. Rescue can become control, without meaning to. Love can be loud, but it can also be a quiet chair in the corner, a small light left on. If you're listening and thinking about someone who arrived in a hard season and then drifted away, maybe place your hand over your heart for a moment. Feel that? Still beating. You made it through. You learned a little tenderness for yourself. You learned that you don't have to beg to be chosen. You learned that your voice still works. That's no small thing. Another gentle truth. Patterns tell more truth than promises. If someone's words sparkle, but their choices always cut, listen to the choices. If you feel smaller every time you leave, pay attention. If you feel safer, warmer, steadier, that's a sign too. The body knows. Your chest tightens or loosens. Your breath gets shallow or deep. Maybe you think this is a no, or maybe this is a yes. It's okay to trust that. It's okay to change your mind later. You're allowed to be learning. I sometimes picture a sky full of constellations. Every person you've loved, family, friends, the stranger who paid for your gas once. Each is a star. Some are bright, some dim. When you step back far enough, you can see the shape they make together. Maybe it looks like a ladder, maybe a river, maybe a hand reaching forward. We don't always see the pattern up close. But distance, time, healing, a good night's sleep can turn scattered lights into a path. And on nights when you can't see any pattern at all, it's okay to say, not today. It's okay to rest. What do we do with the people who scare us or try to bend our lives to their shape? We step back. We speak plain. We keep notes of who we are. We stop explaining our worth. We build small, trustworthy circles and tell the truth inside them. We let the rest be noise. Maybe that sounds too simple, but most peace is simple. Most healing is made of ordinary days done kindly. If you're wondering, why did they come? Why did they go? Here's a softer answer than certainty. Maybe they came to hand you a key, and maybe they left so you would try the lock. Maybe they came to wake a sleeping courage in you, and maybe they left so you would carry that courage on your own. It's okay to not know. It's okay to bless what you can't understand. I want to offer a small practice you can take into tomorrow. When you meet someone at work, at the store, online, pause for one quiet breath. Ask, what is this moment asking of me? Patience? Honesty? A boundary? A simple smile? Then give only that. Not your whole self. Not your whole wallet. Just the honest piece that belongs to this moment. Over time, that little breath builds a life that feels less like panic and more like belonging. And if tonight stirred something in you, maybe a face, a memory, a small ache, you can write it down. 1 page, 3 lines. Who arrived? What did they leave with me? What can I return to them in my heart? Thanks, forgiveness, release. You don't need perfect words. You just need a pen and a little light. It's okay if you cry. It's okay if you don't. Before we close, I want to say this. You are not behind. You are not hard to love. You are not a set of mistakes tied together with worry. You're a person learning the way we all are, one hello and one goodbye at a time. And somewhere, maybe closer than you think, the next right person is already walking your way, not to fix you, not to finish you, to walk beside you for as long as walking together is good. When it's time for paths to part, you'll know, and you'll be okay. If these quiet talks help you feel a little less alone, you're welcome to subscribe. No pressure. If you do, we'll keep meeting like this. Late night, soft voices, simple words. Maybe share this with someone who needs a gentler view of their own story. And if you want, leave a comment with one person who changed you for the better, even if they were only there for a season. I'll be reading slowly with a warm cup and a grateful heart. For now, rest easy. People don't always come by chance. Sometimes they come like lanterns on a dark road. Sometimes they come like rain after a long, dry month. And sometimes they come like a mirror, so you can finally see who you are and who you're becoming. Breathe. You're right on time. Have you ever tried to help someone and it backfired? You offered advice, you gave time, maybe even money, and somehow it all went wrong. The friendship changed. The warmth disappeared. And you sat there wondering, did I do something wrong? Maybe not. Maybe you just stepped in before life finished teaching them. Tonight, we'll talk about why even good intentions can cause pain and how to help others without losing yourself in the process. If this kind of quiet talk helps you see life clearer, maybe subscribe so you don't miss the next story. Now, take a deep breath. This one's gentle, but it goes deep. We live in a world that praises the helpers, the fixers, the rescuers. It feels right to step in when someone's drowning. But here's the thing. Sometimes the water they're in is the very lesson they came here to learn. And when we rush to pull them out, we steal that moment from them. I know that's hard to hear. I've done it myself, helped too soon, too much, too fast. And later, I realized the truth. I wasn't always helping. I was interrupting their growth. In an old Zen story, a monk named Noro said, "Life is like a river. Each person is a small boat. When we try to steer someone else's boat without being asked, we both sink." That image stayed with me. How many times have we jumped into someone's current, believing we were saving them, only to end up lost ourselves? Maybe you've been there, helping a friend through heartbreak, covering their bills, guiding them through their chaos. And then one day, they drift away, leaving you tired and confused. It doesn't mean you failed. It just means your part of their story is done. I think of a woman I once knew. Let's call her Ellen. Her son was grown but lost, jobless, angry, drifting. Every time he stumbled, she picked him up, paid his rent, found him new work, protected him from consequences. One day, she came to me crying, saying, "He's worse than ever. I've done everything." And I asked softly, "Maybe that's a problem. You've done everything." She looked at me for a long time and then said, "So, I just stop." I said, "You stop rescuing, but you don't stop loving." That moment changed her, and him. A few months later, he got a job on his own. The first thing he told her was, "Mom, I needed to feel the fall. Sometimes love means stepping back, not stepping in. Maybe the person you care about needs to make their own mistakes, feel their own struggle, and find their own strength. When we do everything for someone, we rob them of the muscle that life was trying to build in them. And we also drain our own energy, the same energy that could have been used for our purpose, our healing, our peace. It's okay to care deeply, but care doesn't mean carrying everything. If you're wondering, then when should I help? Maybe start here. Help when asked. Wait for the request. Let people knock on your door before you open it. And even then, check your heart. Ask, do I have the strength to give without resentment? If the answer is no, it's okay to say, I can't right now. That's not cold. That's honest. The world doesn't need burnout saints. It needs steady hearts. When we act without being asked, we create invisible debts, expectations, guilt, and control. The other person feels smaller, maybe ashamed, and we feel hurt when they don't thank us enough. Suddenly, kindness turns into quiet tension. So before you help, breathe. Ask, am I giving freely or am I hoping to fix something so I can feel useful? It's okay if the answer surprises you. Awareness is where wisdom begins. There's a kind of grace in waiting. It's a quiet love, not the loud, dramatic kind that rushes and saves the day, but the kind that stands by, believing in someone's ability to rise. It's saying, I see your struggle and I trust your strength. That's powerful. That's respect. And listen, it's okay to make mistakes in this. You'll help someone who didn't need it. You'll hold back when maybe you should have stepped in. You're human. You're learning. The goal isn't to be perfect. It's to be aware, to act from clarity, not fear, from love, not guilt. Sometimes, the kindest thing you can do for someone is to let them wrestle with life until they find their own peace. You can still pray for them, wish them well, keep the porch light on, but you don't have to jump into every storm. Remember what the monk said, every boat has its own river. Don't climb aboard unless they invite you. If you're listening right now and thinking about someone you try to save, a friend, a partner, a child, maybe tonight you can give yourself permission to rest. You've done your part. You don't have to be the hero every time. The world keeps spinning, even when you sit down. Sometimes the most sacred thing you can say is, I love you, and I trust you to figure this out. And if this message finds you tired of giving, tired of fixing, tired of feeling unseen, maybe tonight you just need to take your own advice. Help yourself first. Pour back what you've poured out. It's not selfish. It's balance. When your own light burns steady again, you'll know who truly needs its warmth. So here's the gentle practice for this week. Before you rush to help, pause. Put your hand on your heart and ask, am I the right person for this? Is this my moment to act or my moment to wait? Sometimes silence is the truest support. Sometimes letting go is the purest love. If this talk helped you breathe easier, leave a small heart in the comments. Maybe share it with someone who's been helping too much lately. And if you like more stories like this, simple, honest, quiet lessons for everyday peace, you can subscribe. We'll walk this path together, one story at a time. For now, remember this. It's okay not to fix everyone. It's okay to rest. It's okay to let life teach the people you love. You're not abandoning them. You're honoring their path. And maybe, just maybe, the space you give them is a miracle they needed all along. You ever walk away from someone and feel lighter, like your chest just unclenched? Or maybe the opposite. A conversation ends, and suddenly your mood drops, your shoulders tense, and you can't explain why. That's not nothing. That's energy. It's your body telling you who feeds your peace and who drains it. Tonight, let's talk softly about how to recognize the people who help your spirit grow and the ones who quietly break it down. This one's not about blame. It's about awareness. If you like these calm, heart-centered talks, maybe subscribe so we can keep learning together. Now, let's breathe and begin. We meet all kinds of souls. Some walk beside us like sunlight. Others cast shadows we don't notice until we start to wilt. And it's not always easy to tell the difference. Some of the most harmful people wear the gentlest smiles. Some of the most healing people come into your life looking ordinary. A teacher, a co-worker, a stranger with a kind word. Life doesn't always announce who's who, but your body, your intuition, they whisper. You just have to listen. Let's start with a truth I've learned the hard way. People don't always mean harm, but some carry storms they haven't faced yet. When they haven't met their own pain, it spills over, and you end up standing in the rain that wasn't yours to feel. Maybe you've known someone like that. They pull you in, make you feel needed, then twist small things into guilt. You start saying sorry for simply breathing wrong. You question your memory. You think you're too sensitive. But you're not. You're just standing too close to someone who confuses control with care. The first sign you're in that kind of space is confusion. Healthy energy feels clear, even if it's not perfect. Unhealthy energy feels foggy, full of half-truths, quick moods, and moving goalposts. You can't relax because you never know which version of them you'll get. And here's the thing. When you're around people like that for too long, you start doubting yourself. You forget your center. That's not love. That's imbalance. Let me tell you a story. A woman named Clara once told me about a friend she adored. Funny, smart, charming. But every time they met, Clara went home drained. Her friend always had a crisis, always needed fixing, and never asked how Clara was doing. She's not a bad person, Clara said. She's just always heavy. And that's the key. Sometimes it's not about good or bad. It's about what your soul can hold. Clara learned to love her friend, but from a few steps back. She didn't shut the door. She just left it open with boundaries. I'll listen, she told her friend, but only when I have the space to. That single sentence changed the friendship. It stopped being a rescue mission and became mutual respect. Boundaries aren't walls. They're like garden fences. They let sunlight in, keep weeds out, and give your flowers a chance to grow. When you start setting them, people who love you will understand. People who only love your giving will call you selfish. Don't take that personally. It's just proof that your energy was their battery, not their mirror. Now, what about the people who make you feel lighter? The ones who walk in and everything feels a little safer, a little kinder. They don't fix your problems. They remind you that you can handle them. They listen more than they lecture. They make silence comfortable. These people are medicine. Keep them close. You'll know them by how your nervous system reacts. Slower breath, easier laughter, less noise in your head. But maybe you're wondering, how do I tell the difference early on? The answer is small patterns, not grand gestures. Notice how you feel after you share good news. Do they celebrate you, or do they turn the story back to themselves? Notice how they handle your no. Do they respect it or try to push past it? Watch what they do when you're not useful to them. Do they disappear or stay anyway? That's how truth shows itself, in the quiet moments when no one's watching. If someone keeps making you feel smaller, believe that feeling. If someone leaves you calmer, believe that too. You don't need to analyze it for weeks. You can just say, something feels off, and that's enough. You don't owe everyone access to your heart. Protecting your peace isn't cruelty. It's wisdom. And yes, it's okay to let people go. It doesn't make you cold. It just means you finally learned how to read the weather before the storm hits. Some people are meant to be lessons, not lifelong seats at your table. You can thank them for what they taught you and close the chapter with love, not anger. The peace that follows will surprise you. I'll tell you what I've learned. Your circle will shrink as your peace expands, but what remains will be purer. You'll laugh easier, sleep deeper, wake up without dread. You'll stop rehearsing conversations that never happen, and you'll stop apologizing for wanting quiet. That's growth. So maybe tonight, take a moment to think about your circle. Who makes you feel calm, seen, accepted? Who makes you feel anxious, unsure, or constantly apologetic? You don't need to judge anyone. Just notice. The noticing itself is powerful. Once you see the pattern, your soul will start to choose differently. And if you've been that draining person before, we all have at some point. Don't shame yourself. Just breathe and say, I can do better. Awareness is already healing. We don't need to punish ourselves for our past. We just need to grow out of it. Before we close, I want to leave you with this thought. Energy never lies. When something feels heavy, it probably is. When something feels light, it probably belongs. Trust the quiet voice inside you. It's not paranoia, it's protection. If this talk helped you name something in your life, maybe hit like so more people can find it, or share it with someone who's learning to protect their peace too. And if you'd like to keep walking through these small, soft lessons with me, you can subscribe. We'll keep exploring gently, honestly, one story at a time. Remember, some people are blessings, some are lessons. Both matter. But peace is knowing which one you're standing with and when to walk away. Have you ever carried a grudge so long that it started living in your bones? Maybe someone lied, left, or broke your trust. And even when you said, I forgive you, a small ache stayed behind. Forgiveness is strange like that. We think it's about freeing them, but it's really about freeing us. Tonight, let's whisper about forgiveness. The kind that doesn't mean pretending nothing happened, but learning how to stop letting pain write your story. And hey, if talks like this help you breathe a little lighter, maybe subscribe so we can keep walking this quiet road together. Forgiveness sounds simple until it's personal. It's easy to say, just let it go when it's someone else's wound. But when it's your heart, when you trusted someone and they broke that trust, the idea of letting go feels unfair. You want justice, closure, something, but most of the time that something never comes. So what do we do with that pain that lingers long after the apology we never got? Maybe the first truth is this. Forgiveness doesn't mean saying what happened was okay. It means saying, I'm done carrying it. You're not approving the pain. You're refusing to let it own you. It's a quiet rebellion. You reclaim your peace from the hands of someone who didn't deserve to keep it. And you do it not for them, but for you. There's a story from Buddhist tradition that always stays with me. A man once spat in the Buddha's face. His disciples were furious, ready to defend him. But the Buddha sat still, eyes soft, and said nothing. The next day, the man returned, ashamed and trembling. He begged for forgiveness. The Buddha smiled and said, There's nothing to forgive. The man was stunned. How could that be? The Buddha said, The one you spat on is not here anymore. The man you are today is not the same man who spat yesterday. That line, there's nothing to forgive, it's not about pretending the harm didn't happen. It's about seeing that we're all changing every moment. The Buddha wasn't holding on to yesterday. That's the heart of forgiveness. To see that the past can only hurt you if you keep living in it. But we're not Buddhas. We're human. We remember. We replay. We want to understand. And maybe that's okay, too. Healing doesn't happen in one perfect moment. It happens in small steps. A thought, a prayer, a decision to stop rehearsing the same story every night before bed. You don't have to rush it. Forgiveness can be a long walk, not a lightning strike. I once spoke to an older man named Joseph. His brother had stolen from him years ago. Money, trust, everything. For decades, Joseph carried that bitterness like armor. He thought it protected him. But over time, it just made him tired. One day, he told me, I woke up and realized I wasn't angry at my brother anymore. I was angry at myself for staying stuck there. He didn't call his brother. He didn't need to. He just stopped waking up mad. That's forgiveness, too. No grand speech, no reunion, just peace quietly returning home. Sometimes forgiveness means setting someone free in your heart, but keeping your distance in life. You can love people from afar. You can wish them well without welcoming them back. You can forgive what happened without forgetting what it taught you. You're allowed to protect your peace and still be kind. There's another kind of forgiveness we rarely talk about. Forgiving yourself. We all carry moments we wish we could redo. The words we said too sharply. The silence we kept too long. The love we didn't give when it mattered. We replay those moments until they carve shame into us. But listen, you were doing your best with the tools you had. You didn't know then what you know now. Be gentle with that version of yourself. She was learning. He was trying. You can let them rest. Maybe true forgiveness isn't a one-time act, but habit. Each morning, you release a little. Each night, you loosen another knot. You wake up one day and realize the person or memory that used to tighten your chest doesn't anymore. You breathe and it doesn't hurt. That's how you know you're free. And if you're listening right now with a heavy heart, I want to say this softly. It's okay if you're not ready to forgive. You don't need to fake peace. Just aim for less hate today than you had yesterday. That's enough. Sometimes healing starts as small as saying, I want to forgive, but I can't yet. Even that wish is a seed. Water it gently. It will grow when it's ready. Forgiveness doesn't erase justice. It just ends your suffering before it ends your life. You stop dragging the past like a heavy suitcase. You set it down. You keep what's valuable, the lesson, the resilience, the compassion, and you leave the rest by the side of the road. That's wisdom. So tonight, maybe try this. Close your eyes. Picture the person who hurt you, or maybe the person you've been blaming in the mirror. See them just as they are. Then whisper, I release you. I release me. You don't have to feel it yet. Just say it. Words are seeds. If you're still here, thank you for staying. These quiet talks are my way of saying you're not alone. We've all been betrayed. We've all been forgiven. We've all been both the wound and the healer. So if this helped you breathe easier tonight, maybe tap like, or share it with someone who's been carrying too much for too long. And if you'd like to keep walking this path softly, honestly, one story at a time, you can subscribe. Remember, forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It means remembering without pain. It's choosing peace over punishment. It's the art of saying, this hurt happened, but it doesn't owe me anymore. And maybe, just maybe, that's what freedom really feels like. Have you ever been too kind for your own good? The kind that says yes when your heart is whispering no? You give, and one day you wake up empty, wondering when caring for others turned into forgetting yourself. Tonight, let's talk about kindness, the soft, sacred kind that heals, and the kind that quietly destroys us when it's not balanced. If this kind of gentle talk feels like something your soul's been needing, maybe subscribe, so we can keep walking this slow, honest road together. Kindness is beautiful, but it can be heavy. Somewhere along the way, many of us were taught that being good means saying yes, that to love is to give no matter the cost. And for a while, it works. People smile, thank you, lean on you. You feel useful, needed. But slowly that yes starts to ache. You start to realize that love without limits doesn't make you more loving. It makes you more tired. There's a story I love about a young woman who came to an old monk and said, "Master, I try to be kind to everyone, but they take advantage of me. What am I doing wrong?" The monk smiled and said, "You are giving like a river in flood, beautiful but uncontrolled. Even flowers drown in too much water." That image stayed with me, because sometimes kindness without boundaries isn't kindness at all. It's fear. Fear of disappointing people. Fear of being seen as cold or selfish. Fear that if we stop giving, love will disappear. But love that demands exhaustion isn't love. It's dependency dressed up as devotion. I once knew a woman named Teresa, a caregiver, always the first to help. Her phone never stopped ringing. Friends, neighbors, co-workers, all asking for advice, favors, comfort. And she gave it all, every time. Until one morning, she sat at her kitchen table, coffee cold, phone buzzing, and whispered, "I'm done. I don't even know who I am anymore." She wasn't angry, just empty. She'd poured so much that nothing was left to pour. That's what happens when kindness becomes self-erasure. When you keep showing up for everyone else, but stop showing up for yourself. And the world will keep taking. Not because it's cruel, but because you never said, "I need a break." The truth is, you teach people how to treat you by how you treat yourself. If you treat your energy as endless, others will too. It's okay to set limits. It's okay to say, "I can't right now." It's okay to protect your time, your rest, your joy. Boundaries aren't barriers. They're balance. They tell the world, my kindness is real, but it's not infinite. Real kindness doesn't drain you. It sustains you. It flows from overflow, not emptiness. There's a village story that says, once upon a time, people gathered under a great cherry tree that gave sweet fruit every season. One year, people took more than they needed. They stripped the branches bare, left the roots dry. The next spring, the tree didn't bloom. The villagers panicked and begged the old monk for advice. He said, "You wanted more fruit, but you forgot to water the roots." That's us. When we forget to tend our roots, our rest, our solitude, our peace, our kindness wilts. You can't give shade when your own branches are breaking. You can't feed others when you're starving for yourself. So tonight, ask yourself gently, am I watering my roots? Sometimes being kind means stepping back, saying no, not out of spite, but out of wisdom, saying, "I love you, but I can't carry this for you." That's not cruelty. That's clarity. And the people meant for your life will understand. The ones who don't, they were never really listening. They were only taking. If you ever felt guilty for saying no, I want you to hear this. It's not your job to keep everyone comfortable. Your job is to keep your soul alive. The world needs you lit from within, not burn out trying to light everyone else's candles. Kindness, when balanced, becomes power. You start giving from a place of peace, not pressure. You start helping because you want to, not because you have to. And suddenly, your yes means something again. It's pure. It's free. If you've been running on empty lately, here's a small practice. For 1 week, before saying yes, pause. Ask, do I truly have the energy for this? If the answer is no, Give yourself permission to rest. If it's yes, then give with your whole heart. Either way, you're honoring yourself. And don't be afraid to ask for kindness too. Even healers need healing. Even givers deserve to receive. You don't lose your strength when you need help. You deepen it. Let others show up for you sometimes. Let them see that your softness isn't weakness. It's realness. Maybe that's the lesson tonight. Kindness isn't about how much you give, but how honestly you give it. When you start from love for yourself and others, it multiplies. When you start from guilt, it drains. Choose the kind of kindness that lets you wake up peaceful, not empty. If this talk spoke to something inside you, maybe hit like, or share it with someone who gives too much. And if you like more slow, honest stories like this, you can subscribe. No rush, no pressure. Just remember, saying no doesn't make you unkind. Saying yes doesn't make you holy. What makes you whole is balance, giving without losing, loving without disappearing. Be gentle with yourself. You deserve the same compassion you've been giving everyone else. Have you ever tried to hold on to someone or something that was clearly slipping away? You tell yourself, if I just try harder, maybe it'll work. But the harder you hold, the more it hurts. Letting go sounds easy until it's your turn. Tonight, let's talk about that quiet, painful art of knowing when to release, when to stay, and how to protect your peace without losing your heart. If this feels like the kind of talk your soul's been waiting for, maybe subscribe so you'll have a calm place to come back to. We spend so much of our lives trying to hold things together. Relationships, friendships, jobs, memories. Sometimes it feels like if we stop trying, everything will fall apart. But here's the gentle truth. Not everything that falls apart is a tragedy. Some things need to end so you can breathe again. Some doors have to close before the light can find a new way in. I once heard a monk say, when you hold too tightly, you squeeze out the grace. And I found that to be true. Sometimes the more you grip, the less room there is for peace to grow. We mistake control for love, but love that has to be forced isn't love. It's fear wearing a kind face. You might be holding on to someone who no longer meets you where you are. Or maybe a dream that fit who you were years ago, but not who you are now. It's okay. Life changes shape and we can too. Letting go doesn't mean you failed. It means you've learned what was there to teach you. There's a story I love about a traveler crossing a wide river. He built a raft out of branches and rope, and it carries him safely to the other side. When he reaches the shore, he looks at the raft and says, "You saved my life." Then he pauses and whispers, "But I can't carry you anymore." So he thanks it, sets it down, and walks on. That's how peace feels sometimes. Not easy, not loud, just a quiet knowing that you can't carry everything forever. Some people, some places, some dreams, they were your raft. They helped you cross a chapter. But now, the river's behind you. You can thank them, bless them, and walk forward. Letting go doesn't always mean cutting ties in anger. Sometimes it's a soft release, a quiet, "I love you, but this is where our paths divide." Sometimes it's forgiving someone and still keeping your distance. Sometimes it's realizing that the version of yourself who wanted that thing so badly has grown up. And that's okay too. Growth always asks for something in return. But how do you know when to let go and when to hold on? Maybe start with this simple feeling, peace or tension. When you think of that person, that place, that situation, do you feel calm or do you shrink? Does it feed your joy or drain your spirit? Real love doesn't make you smaller. It makes you softer, steadier, more yourself. And if something keeps taking from you until you can't recognize your own reflection, Maybe it's time to walk away, not out of bitterness, but out of respect for your soul. I remember a man I once met in Kyoto. He said he stayed in a job for 15 years that made him miserable because he thought quitting would make him weak. One day, his mentor told him, "You're mistaking loyalty for fear. True loyalty is staying faithful to your peace." That night, he resigned. The next morning, he woke up and realized he hadn't felt that light in years. So many of us confuse staying with strength. But sometimes strength is leaving quietly. Strength is choosing silence over fighting the same battle. Strength is saying, "I wish you well, but I need to rest now." And here's something softer. Letting go doesn't erase love. You can still wish someone happiness. Even if they're no longer beside you, you can still thank a chapter, even if it ended in tears. Love doesn't always mean holding hands. Sometimes it means holding space and letting them walk their own path. If you've been holding on too long, maybe tonight you can start small. Write their name on a piece of paper. Or maybe the name of that job, that city, that version of you that hurts to release. Then whisper, "Thank you for what you gave me. I set you free, and I free myself." You might cry. That's okay. It means your heart is loosening. There's a quiet kind of courage in not chasing what is already chosen to leave. You can trust life to fill the empty spaces. The universe doesn't take without giving. Sometimes it just needs you to let go of what's blocking the next blessing. And if your hands still shake, let them. Healing isn't graceful, it's honest. Some days you'll miss what you left behind. Some days you'll question if you did the right thing. But one day, maybe not soon, but one day, you'll wake up lighter. You'll notice the silence feels safe instead of sad. You'll realize that peace doesn't always come with closure. Sometimes it comes with surrender. If this talk found you at the right time, maybe leave a small crescent moon in the comments, just to say, "I'm learning to let go." Share it with someone who needs permission to rest. And if you like to keep walking these quiet paths with me, no noise, no rush, just real talk to the soul, you can subscribe. Because here's the truth. Holding on takes strength. But letting go, that takes grace. And grace, that's what sets you free. Have you noticed that when life hurts, our first instinct is to do something? Call someone, fix something, run somewhere? But healing doesn't always need noise. Sometimes the deepest healing happens in silence, in those long, quiet nights when you finally stop running and just let your heart breathe. Tonight, let's talk about the kind of silence that doesn't mean loneliness, but recovery. If this kind of slow, honest talk feels like something you need more of, maybe subscribe. So this little corner can be your quiet space when the world gets too loud. After you let go, there's often an ache that follows, not because you made the wrong choice, but because your heart needs to catch up with your courage. That's the space silence fills. It's not punishment. It's protection. Think of silence as your soul's way of catching its breath. It's the pause between heartbreak and healing. The moment where the noise fades and you can finally hear yourself again. We're not taught how to be still. We're taught to move, fix, scroll, fill the space. But silence is where truth lives. It's where you start to notice the voice underneath all the others. The small, steady one that says, "You're okay. Keep going." It's not dramatic. It doesn't shout. It just waits for you to listen. I remember a man I met at a retreat once, a widower who said he hadn't turned on music in months. He said, "Every sound reminds me she's gone." But then he smiled softly and said, "And then I realized every silence reminds me I'm still here." That's what healing sounds like. Not forgetting, but existing again. learning to sit with what hurts until it softens. You see, silence isn't empty. It's full of all the things you were too busy to feel. It's where the grief you've avoided comes to rest beside the gratitude you forgot you had. It's where the pain you've carried finally gets a voice, not through words, but through breath, through the slowing of your heartbeat, through the moment you finally stop pretending you're fine. And maybe that's why stillness scares us, because it makes us face what we've been running from. The things unsaid, the feelings unhealed, the parts of us we buried under distraction. But facing them doesn't break you. It rebuilds you, one quiet truth at a time. There's an old Zen story about a student who came to his master asking, "How can I find peace?" The master said, "Sit quietly under the tree until the leaves stop moving." The student sat for hours, but the wind kept blowing. Finally, he returned and said, "The wind won't stop." The master smiled and said, "Then stop waiting for it to." Peace, he explained, isn't when the world gets still. It's when you do. That story changed me, because life rarely stops moving. People will keep talking. The world will keep spinning. But you can still find a quiet center inside you, a place that isn't shaken by what happens around it. Maybe that's what healing really means. Remembering that no matter how loud the world gets, there's a calm inside you that's always been there, waiting to be trusted again. If you're in a season of silence right now, I want you to know nothing's wrong with you. You're not lazy. You're not broken. You're recovering. You're recharging your spirit. The world might not understand that kind of rest, but your soul does. You don't need to explain it to anyone. Let the quiet do its work. And if being alone feels strange, try this. Instead of fighting it, treat it like time with someone you're getting to know, yourself. Sit with your thoughts like you would with a dear friend. Ask, "How are you feeling?" Then listen without rushing to fix. Healing is often less about doing and more about allowing the ache, allowing the tears, allowing joy to return in its own time. Some nights you'll cry, others you'll just stare at the ceiling and breathe. And one night, you won't even notice it at first, you'll laugh again. For no big reason, just a small, honest laugh that feels like sunlight in your chest. That's when you'll know the silence has done its work. And I promise you this. You don't have to fill every quiet moment. You don't have to post or prove or perform. Let stillness be enough. Let life unfold at the speed of peace. The world rushes, but you don't have to. You can move slow and still arrive exactly where you're meant to be. If this talk found you at the right time, maybe leave a herb in the comments to say, "I'm learning to be still." And if you like more calm spaces like this, where we talk about healing, purpose, and peace, you can subscribe. No noise, no pressure, just honesty. Remember this, before you go, silence isn't the absence of life. It's the space where life begins again. Every seed grows in quiet soil. Every sunrise starts in darkness. And every healed heart first learns how to sit still. Do you ever look back and realize everything that broke you also built you? The people who left, the silence that scared you, the endings you never wanted, they all shaped you into someone softer, wiser, stronger. Tonight, let's talk about beginnings that come disguised as endings, about how every goodbye, every pause, every ache can quietly lead you home to yourself. If these gentle talks help you breathe easier, maybe subscribe, so we can keep growing together, one quiet story at a time. At some point in this journey, after all the letting go, forgiving, and sitting in silence, something changes. Not all at once. Not like a movie ending. It's quieter. One morning you wake up, the same room, same light, but you feel different. You notice the sky again. Coffee tastes a little better. You realize the storm didn't destroy you. It refined you. That's what healing really is, not forgetting the pain, but finding peace inside it. All those people who came and went, all those moments you thought were random, they weren't. Each one was a teacher, a mirror, a note in the song that's been guiding you back to yourself. You may not see it now, but one day you'll look back and say, all made sense. There's a Japanese saying I love, Nana Karobi Oki falls 7 times, stand up 8. It doesn't say, never fall. It says keep standing. Because every fall shapes the way you rise. Every heartbreak, every ending, teaches you how to love more wisely. Every silence teaches you how to listen to your soul. Every goodbye teaches you what's worth holding on to next time. I think sometimes the hardest part of growing up, no matter your age, is realizing that peace isn't something you find at the end of the road. It's something you practice on the way there. It's not a place you arrive at. It's a rhythm you learn to keep. And maybe that's what this whole journey has been about. Learning to walk lighter, to love without losing yourself, to help without carrying the whole world, to forgive without erasing your boundaries, to be kind without burning out, and to finally understand that quiet doesn't mean empty, it means full. Full of truth, full of clarity, full of you. I met a woman once, 68 years old, silver hair, soft smile. She told me, you know what peace feels like? It's when you no longer need to prove your worth to anyone, not even to yourself. I wrote that down because I think that's the end goal of all this. Not perfection, not control, but quiet acceptance. To sit in your own company and think, I'm enough. Maybe tonight, take a slow breath and think about everything you've walked through. The losses, the loves, the lessons. You survived things that once made you think you never would. You grew through what was meant to bury you. That's something sacred. That's something worth honoring. So when the next season comes, and it will, you'll know what to do. You'll meet new people, but you'll see them differently. You'll help with wisdom, not exhaustion. You'll forgive without forgetting who you are. You'll give from fullness, not fear. You'll know when to stay and when to let go, because you've already lived the lessons that taught you how. Life won't stop testing you, but now you won't panic. You'll pause. You'll listen. You'll smile, because you've learned the art of balance, of loving deeply while standing firmly in your peace. And that, my friend, is freedom. If these quiet talks have meant something to you, if they've helped you see your story in a softer light, maybe take a moment to share this with someone walking through their own storm. You never know who might need it tonight. And if you'd like to keep traveling this gentle path with me, you can subscribe so you never have to walk it alone. Before we close, I want to leave you with this truth. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are blooming just differently than before. Every person, every silence, every goodbye was simply preparing you for this version of yourself. The one who finally understands that peace isn't found in the world around you. It's built quietly inside. So rest easy, my friend. Let this be your new beginning. The story isn't over. It's just becoming beautiful. Crescent moon. Have you ever looked back at your life and realized every person who came into it, the kind ones, the cruel ones, the ones who stayed, and the ones who left, somehow shaped you? Maybe not in ways you liked, but in ways you needed. Tonight, let's close this journey by talking about the full circle, how every soul you meet carries a message for your growth, and how you can finally thank life for all of it, even the hard parts. If these quiet reflections bring you peace, maybe subscribe, so this little corner stays your safe place to return to Anytime you need a reminder that you're not walking alone. When you look back on your life, really look, it's strange how connected everything feels. The friend who taught you trust, the one who broke it, the teacher who pushed you, the stranger who smiled when you needed hope, even the heartbreaks that felt like endings were actually bridges, leading you somewhere you didn't know you needed to go. Life doesn't waste people. Every soul that crosses your path, no matter how briefly, adds something, a word, a wound, a lesson, a spark. And when you zoom out far enough, you start to see the pattern. You see how the ones who hurt you made you stronger, how the ones who love you showed you what home feels like, and how the ones who left made room for new beginnings. It's all connected. It always was. There's an old saying, people come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. Some come to teach you something. Some come to remind you of something you forgot. And a few, they come and stay, not to complete you, but to walk beside you as you complete yourself. I remember sitting under a tree once with an old woman I met while traveling in Kyoto. She said softly, "We meet people the way rivers meet. For a while, we flow together, and then when the current changes, we separate. But that doesn't mean we lose each other. The water is still the same. It just keeps moving." I didn't understand it then, but now I do. The people who pass through your life aren't gone. They live in the way you speak, the way you love, the way you treat others. You carry pieces of them, and they carry pieces of you. Maybe that's why gratitude is so powerful. It doesn't erase the pain, it transforms it. When you can look back at someone who hurt you and say, "You taught me boundaries," that's healing. When you can look at a goodbye and whisper, "Thank you for the lesson," that's growth. When you can look at the past without wanting to change it, that's freedom. And maybe as you move forward, you'll start to see new souls appearing, the kind that feel familiar. Even if you just met, maybe they're part of the same dance, the same long thread that runs through your story. You don't need to know why they're here. Just be present. Stay curious. Love gently. Hold loosely. Let people arrive and leave with grace. That's how you keep your heart open without losing your peace. In time, you'll realize something else. You're also the someone in someone else's story. You might have been their lesson, their kindness, their storm, or their light. You won't always know which. But if you keep walking kindly, if you keep choosing honesty and compassion, then no matter what role you play, it will lead them closer to their own healing. That's what makes this human circle sacred. We're all both student and teacher, giver and receiver, wound and medicine. So maybe tonight, before you sleep, you can whisper a small prayer of gratitude, not for perfection, but for connection. For every soul that crossed your path, even the ones you still don't understand. You can say, "Thank you for shaping me. Thank you for helping me find who I am." Because without them, you wouldn't be here, listening, breathing, growing into this softer, stronger version of yourself. And if there's someone you need to thank, even silently, let that thank you travel. Energy always finds its way back. Maybe they'll feel it somewhere in their chest and smile, not knowing why. That's how love echoes. Quietly, before we close, let me remind you, this isn't the end. It's a turning point. Life will keep sending you new people, new lessons, new mirrors. You'll keep evolving. You'll keep learning how to love better, forgive faster, protect your peace, and live lighter. That's what this journey was always about, coming home to yourself. If this series spoke to something inside you, maybe tap the heart, share it with someone who's still learning how to let go, or subscribe so we can keep walking together through endings, beginnings, and everything in between. Because when you really see it, this isn't a story about others. It's a story about you. about how every soul you've met was really just helping you meet yourself. So rest easy tonight. You've come full circle. And the next chapter? It's already waiting for you, softer, clearer, and full of light. Full moon. Have you ever noticed that when a good story ends, there's always a silence that follows? Not an empty one, but a full one. The kind that makes you sit still for a moment and breathe. That's where we are right now. At the end of the story, or maybe the beginning of another one. You just spent the last few minutes walking through thoughts that aren't just stories, but reflections. The kind that whisper instead of shout, that ask instead of tell. We talked about people who come and go, about love that teaches and pain that transforms. We talk about silence that heals, kindness that must be balanced, and forgiveness that frees not just others, but you. And maybe as you listened, something inside you softened. Maybe you saw a face in your memory, someone who once made you smile, or maybe someone who once broke your heart. Maybe you remembered moments that shaped you, the kind you never fully understood until now. That's the beautiful thing about reflection. It doesn't change the past, but it changes what the past means. And if you've come this far, I think you already know this. People don't come into your life by accident. Every encounter is a thread, weaving something greater, even if you can't see the pattern yet. So before we say goodbye, pause with me for a moment. Just breathe. Let the noise fade. Feel the quiet. Let it sink in that you are here, right now, alive, learning, healing, becoming. Maybe you've spent years giving too much. Maybe you've carried guilt for not doing enough. Maybe you've been trying to fix everyone. Or maybe you've been waiting for someone to fix you. But listen, you don't need to keep running. The version of you sitting here right now, that's enough. That's where the healing begins. Because healing doesn't come from grand changes. It comes from quiet choices. The morning you choose peace instead of control, the moment you forgive instead of fight, the night you whisper, thank you instead of why me. That's how the light returns. Slowly, gently, without drama. And maybe that's what I hope this channel becomes for you. Not just another voice in the chaos, but a quiet friend you can come back to. A place where we talk about life, but softly, like a conversation between two souls sitting under a late-night sky. Every video here is made for people who feel deeply, who overthink, who love too much, who are learning to start again. If that sounds like you belong here. You don't have to fix everything. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to keep showing up for your heart, for your peace, for your truth. If this story touched something inside you, maybe that's a sign that you're ready for the next chapter. And if you want to walk that chapter with me, take a moment to subscribe. Not for numbers, not for fame, but because I want you to have a place to come back to when the world feels heavy. When you click that little bell, think of it like lighting a candle, a small promise that when the next story arrives, you'll be here to hear it. And I'll be here, too. Every week, we'll talk about something that matters. Love, healing, fear, forgiveness, aging, peace, purpose. We'll remind each other that it's okay to slow down. It's okay to fall apart. And it's okay to start over again and again, because that's what being human means. So before you leave, I want you to do something small. Think of one person in your life, someone who might need to hear these words tonight. Send this video to them. Not as advice, not as a lecture, just as a gentle, I thought of you. Sometimes a single moment of kindness can ripple through someone's entire week. And if tonight felt like it gave you something, peace, clarity, or maybe just company, then don't keep it to yourself. Leave a comment below and tell me what stayed with you. I read every single one. Your words, your reflections, your stories, they don't just fill the space, they give this channel life. They remind me why we do this. Because we're not building a community of perfection. We're building one of understanding, of compassion, of second chances. A place where we say, I see you. I've been there too. So when you hit that subscribe button, know this, you're not joining a channel. You're joining a circle of people who believe that peace, kindness, and growth still matter. People who are learning to live slower, love deeper, and breathe easier. And remember, life will keep moving. People will come and go. The world will stay loud. But this space, this soft, quiet corner, will always be here for you. So take one last deep breath. Exhale whatever still hurts. Inhale everything that heals. You made it this far, and that's something worth celebrating. Thank you for watching, for feeling, for staying until the end. Thank you for being part of this little world we're creating, one story at a time. Now go gently. Be kind. Keep your heart open. And when life gets too heavy, come back here. We'll find our peace together. Until next time, my friend, stay grounded. Stay grateful. Stay growing. Herb.